Welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, psychic medium Cari Mugz. This is where we learn all things spirit, everything from spiritual gifts, awakenings, ghosts, aliens, and starseeds. Nothing is untouchable, but always fun and spunky. I am honored to be on this spiritual journey with you, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Hello and welcome to this episode of Spunky Spirit. I am psychic medium Cari Mugz, and I want to welcome you to this episode. But first off, I want to apologize. I want to say thank you for your patience, and I apologize for not being able to get a podcast episode up last week. I have gone to an every other week episode thing because there's been so much going on, and it's been so hard for me, which has been good though, because I want to give you quality podcast episodes. But last week I was very sick. My little Nellie, my little granddaughter who has some heart issues, ended up in the hospital because of RSV. Her heart is fine. She's fine and everything's good, but she ended up being there for a week, and I kind of helped with the girls a little bit with her sisters, and then I got severely sick with the flu after that. So last week was kind of crazy. I had to reschedule a bunch of people. So if you're one of those people that I had to reschedule, thank you for your patience. And this month is hopefully gonna move. So if you follow me and you watch Cari Connects, you saw that last week's card was darkness, and I was all like, "It's fine, it'll be fine. It doesn't mean anything." And then my week was crazy and chaotic. But this week is a better card. It's nurturing and loving about the earth and the four elements, and I love that. So welcome to this podcast episode, and welcome back into my crazy, chaotic life. So today we're going to talk about telepathy. And the reason why I want to talk about telepathy is because I've had lots of you send me a podcast called the Telepathy Tapes. And it's been really interesting to listen to some of them. A lot of it is science-based. So I'm going to talk about telepathy in a spiritual type based, more spiritual type. If you want to do the neuroscience of it and go to the science part of it, you can go to the Telepathy Tapes. It's a great podcast, and I think they have like one season of like 10 episodes, and then they're starting another season, and it's really informational, and I really do enjoy it. To me, telepathy is just like psychicness. To me it's the same, because I kind of feel it's the same. I don't know the difference. So because of how I do my readings and when we tap into people psychically, it's kind of the same, because psychic is when you read soul to soul or person to person, and mediumship is when you connect to the other side. Either way, you're communicating with both souls or both spirits, and I feel like telepathy is just you using your psychic gifts and using your clairs to communicate. But we're going to talk about it. It gives it a separate name because telepathy is when you can communicate back and forth. And a lot of people can't do that because they don't know they have the gift to do it. So telepathy is a transmission of information from one person to another, communication, without using your physical abilities or sensories. So you're not using anything physical. It's all spiritual. It's all that sixth sense. That's clair stuff. And I would say all the clairs. There's clairsentient, clairvoyance, claircognizance, which is you just know, see, hear, and feel all these things spiritually. It's your sixth sense. And we have all been born with this sixth sense. All of us have. But through years and years and years of being told we don't have it, and years and years and years of being in disbelief or skeptical, we don't tap into that anymore. Some of us do more than others, and that's why, like, I do what I do, because I believe that you can, and I believe we all have it. So it also can be known as mind reading, which gives it a bad name, because mind reading is kind of the thought that you go into somebody's mind and you take that information or you read their mind. So I have to be honest, for all of you out there that love to read, or I have this year started kind of reading some romantasy books. They're part romance, part fantasy. And I've really liked them. The reason why sometimes I like them isn't because of the romantic parts. I do like that, but is because they all kind of go back to some of our gifts. They all use A lot of them talk about how the characters use a bond to connect to each other and read each other's mind, and you can put shields up. And the reason why I love that is because I believe entirely that it's true. I believe that you can do that. Maybe not in the sense of the books play, but I believe that it is doable, and I believe that we've always had that gift. We just have lost the source of it, or through time we've lost the realization of it. And so these books bring back our powers to me, like the powers that we had, ancient powers that we as humans had before. And it's kind of like bringing them back to us, bringing the back that reality. And I think that that's why a lot of us, like some of us that do like these books, love them, because they do remind us of an ancient time, remind us of who we used to be. And so, and in these books, like every single one that I've read, there's always a bond, some sort of bond between the two partners, that they can talk to each other, communicate telepathically or through their bond, or read each other's minds. And so I love that, because I do believe that there's some truth to that. And so, but I believe too that the reason why it can get a bad rap is because in the book too, people use it as, in books, they use it as weapons. In fact, I think in one of the series, if you have it as a gift, if you have mind reading as a gift, you're instantly killed, because it's such a highly abused weapon. And I think that that's why people get, that's why governments look into it. That's why there's so much science and, neurologists and scientific searches on it, because it really could be a damaging thing. But we also know, if you look at, I think it's the paper clips government thing, that mind reading or mind control has been a huge conspiracy theory throughout. Lots and lots of I think it's the paperclip conspiracy, but I'm not sure about that. I'll look at that and see. But there's always been a conspiracy that the government has some sort of mind control, and it can be used as a weapon. And that's why we've kind of been so careful about it, and so nonchalant about it, or so skeptical, because it can be dangerous. It can be a dangerous thing, not just a great thing. So that's where you kind of have to watch. And you can put your shields up, and we're going to talk about that. That's just the same as protection when we talk about spiritual protection. Same thing with mind reading. You can have those shields up. You have the power over your gifts. And when I say this, everybody has these gifts, you guys. Everybody, not just me, not just other mediums, psychics. You have these gifts too. It's been so long, and we've been so inbred in us that we don't have them, and we do. So we're going to talk a little bit about more about that. It's also been known as ESP, extrasensory perception, when we can kind of read other people's feelings, read other people's emotions, read other people's minds. I think back in the 70s it was more known as ESP than it was telepathy. But kind of in like movies like Star Trek and scientific movies, the telepathy has it's gotten its new name. It's that distance, you can read each other's mind through a distance. When you're not, like, you don't have to be close together, even in the same room, you can be distantly, because your relationship, or your emotional relationship to that person, can connect you to that person, which I really highly believe too. There's been twins. If you listen to the telepathy tapes, they do have a strong, I think she has an episode just on autistic people who have this gift. And also too, Twins have always said, or always thought, that they have a capability of being able to hear each other's thoughts or feel each other's emotions, which is a very strong bond. And also mother's intuition. No denying mother's intuition. She, a mother or a parent of any type that has a connection to her children can always tell when something's up. Always, always, always. And don't feel guilty if you don't, but there's just this mother. Sometimes you have to be able to decipher between mother's intuition and anxiety, right? Like mother's intuition just comes to you and says, check on your daughter. And then you go check on the daughter, and then there might be something up. Worry and anxiety is different. You send them to school and you're worried about them all day. This telepathy stuff, it comes without emotion, without, you just feel it or hear it or know it without any kind of worry or anxiety around it. So, telepathic is born from the concept that all beings originate from the same source. So it kind of is saying that we kind of all get our thoughts from the same source, or the same collective place. Um, and there's a book by the lady who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, and I think it's called Big Magic. And she writes about how our ideas and how our ideas for books, or our ideas for different things in our lives come from this collective consciousness. And if we don't jump on that, somebody else will if it's meant for the collective's good. And what I mean by collective is everybody. We are one, so that we are one feeling. We all can tap into this collective consciousness. And I kind of feel like it has to do with the same being as the universe or a spiritual and the Akashic records. It's just this collection of all of our thoughts, all of our emotions all together. And when people can dip into that, then they can dip into this telepathy thing, right? All beings originate from the same source, and they call it either a spiritual source, a natural source, or a universal source, which is kind of all the same to me. They're all the same. Now, I feel like when we use this telepathy or we use this communication, again, it's psychic to me. We use all our clairs. And if you don't know about the clairs, you can Google them, but there's clear knowing, clear seeing, clear hearing, and clear feeling. And some of us just feel things. And so I feel a lot, a lot of empaths are telepathy. They have telepathy because you can walk into a room and you can feel everybody's emotions. That's totally telepathy. What I think people get mixed up with is when you use telepathy, you think that you're processing the information from your mind when actually you're using your heart too. You have to use both. And same when you go into the Akashic Records, you have to use both. You have to center it from your heart chakra. And so I feel like that's kind of, you use both of those things and you use all your clairs, you use your psychic abilities to use telepathy. And that's why I don't really know if there's a difference for me between psychic and telepathy. Because when I'm doing readings as a medium, I prefer to connect to the spirit that's on the other side. So I'm communicating with the spirit on the other side. That's a form of telepathy, right? Because they're showing me signs and symbols because our souls are eternal. So I'm connecting to the person that has transitioned on the other side. I'm connecting to their soul or their spirit. And I'm communicating with them through telepathy. That's what it is. It's like, that's exactly what it is. And when you're doing a psychic reading and I'm connecting to the person in front of me, then it's kind of me connecting to their soul and person to person. And I'm kind of reading their thoughts, reading what's going on in their lives. And that's why when I do mediumship readings, I try not to focus on the person in front of me as much because I don't want to pick up stuff from them. I want to pick up stuff from their ancestor or their loved one on the other side. Because if I pick up something from them psychically, it's telepathy, right? And I've had many, many readings where when I've said something, I've been like, okay, they're telling me this. Or I say something in the reading and they're like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking that. And so I know at that moment, I either picked it up from them or the spirit picked it up from them and I picked it from the spirit. And so I will tell them straight out, okay, I'm going to be completely honest then. If you were thinking that at that moment, then I could have picked it up from you because telepathy works both ways. So just because our loved ones are on the other side and they're in a different frequency doesn't mean we have to stop communicating with them. We just think for some reason we've been taught that once they lose their body and once their body's gone, they're gone. They're in this other place doing these other things and they've forgotten who they are here, and that's not true. They're still the same person. And so telepathy to me is just communicating with the spirit or the person in front of me. And I believe it's totally real because I believe it's what I do every day. It's just a different name for what I do. It's using my psychic abilities, my clairs, to communicate with different souls or different spirits, whether they're on earth or not. So I think it's kind of interesting that I think people think that telepathy is just like a communication between two souls that they can talk back and forth. But in reality, that's what I'm kind of doing with the spirits, right? Mediumship is the same thing. So it's kind of interesting. And you do it with your family sometimes. You know that you're in a family function and somebody says something and you look at your daughter because she's thinking something, she's feeling something, and you look at her because you have this inner dialogue going on, right? So To me, it's the same as psychic. So it's kind of hard for me to determine which is which. And when you're first starting out in your mediumship journey, sometimes it's hard. When I teach my mediumship classes, it's hard for people to discern which was psychic and which is medium because you get the information the same way, right? You get the information the same way, so they don't really know, and that's okay. That's okay. So everyone is born with this gift of telepathy. Everybody is psychic. Everybody has these feelings. We've just been so ingrained throughout the years that we don't, and because somebody doesn't want us to. And I don't know if that's a lower frequency somebody, a controlling government somebody, I don't know, but somebody doesn't want us to tap into these gifts or know how powerful we really are. So if you can be skeptic to this, and it can be lack of awareness, I really want you to know too that, why would we need to use our brains and our hearts to connect to people when we have these devices in front of us every day that we're looking at 24/7? We're not even aware of what's going on around us, because I will tell people all the time, they're going to show you signs and symbols, but you're so busy. If you're so busy looking at your phone, you're not going to see or be aware of the signs and symbols that they're going to show you around you. So sometimes when we have lack of awareness, we don't deep into these telepathy things because we're so in tune to our phones. We're not even like acknowledging what's going on around us. And so that's why sometimes we lose a lot of our spiritual senses and our spiritual gifts, because we're so focused on our phones and what other people are doing that we're not focused in creating that. Because our spiritual gifts are just like our physical gifts. You have to practice, right? If you want to be in shape and you want to exercise, you want to be strong physically, you have to practice at the gym. You have to do the exercises. Same with your spiritual gifts. You have to get better and better at them. And so that's where the telepathy, you have to practice it. If you want to do it, you have to practice it. And so it'd be kind of fun to find somebody that you could practice telepathy with, really, your psychic abilities. And because of that, because we're always tuned into this phone or to this device, we're blocking out our spiritual abilities. And that is kind of a shame, because a lot of people don't, that's where we become skeptic. We just, you think that you don't have those gifts, or you don't have those abilities, because that's what we've been taught. So a transmission, let's see, the types of, I'm going to tell you the types of telepathy are, one's latent. And that's when you transfer information to somebody, but it's delayed. So it takes them a while to get it. So I'm not really sure of what instances those would be. It could be like if you're far distances away, like let's say somebody, when you kind of just have that feeling that somebody passed over or somebody's in danger, and then you're like, oh my gosh, they call you and you're like, I did have that feeling, a couple days ago. It could be delayed. So that could be an instant delay of the telepathy or the distance of that gift. The retrocognitive, precognitive, or intuitive. This is the past, present, or future. So you transfer. These are psychic readings. That's what that is. When you do a psychic reading, they can see your past, present, and future. And so that's what the retrocognitive, precognitive, and intuitive telepathy is when you can read people's past, present, or future, or see their past. So sometimes when somebody comes up to you and says, I have a job interview tomorrow, and you already know whether or not they're going to get the job, that could be the precognition. That could be, now that's not definite. It's kind of telepathy because you're kind of feeling it, but it's also a psychic sense of their future, but you're getting it from there. You're reading it from their energy. And then there's emotional, which is my empaths. That's the empaths. It's a remote influence. So you can influence other people's decisions by their emotions. So you can push your emotions on them. And this is where it can become a weapon, kind of like. You can push your emotions, push your initiative, push your thoughts on them. So then you hope that you can manipulate their decisions by pushing your agenda on them. And then as an empath, if you're not protected, you can receive that, or you can go into a room full of people and feel all this emotion and feel anxiety and feel stressed. And this is why shielding is so important, not just against lower frequencies in the spirit world, but against other people. Because there are people out there that, especially, and I don't want to, but there are narcissists out there that know how to play empath on empaths. They know what they're doing. They know what buttons to push, and that's why the narcissist and the the empath are so innerly entwined because narcissists know how to do that. It's a form of telepathy. It's a form of manipulative emotions. And that's exactly what telepathy is. So, and then there's the superconscious, which is what we already talked about. It's the collective consciousness where people can go in to the collective and pick up that information regardless. But a lot of times you can't go in and just go pick up somebody's information without their permission. It's kind of the Akashic Records rule. So no one can really go in and pick up my information without my authority. But if I'm not shielded or I'm not protected, then sometimes I can allow that in. So it's kind of just like those romantasy books that you read. It really is. It's kind of crazy. So, and then we all know about, the scientific Zener cards that they used in the old days where they would hold up the cards. They'd have a ring, a circle, a cross, or waves, and then the person would have to guess which card that is. You could always practice your telepathy that way if you wanted to, or your, communication that way. So there's also dream telepathy. So, which is when you can jump into other people's dreams, which I think is crazy. I totally believe. There was a movie when I was growing up that scared the crap out of me. I think it was called Dreamscape or Dream something. And that's why I won't watch the Leo DiCaprio movie that has him jumping from dream to dream now, because that one, when I was little, scared the crap out of me because I felt like it could be so real. Because some people can jump into other people's dreams. And this is also a gift that's used in some of these books too. And I kind of it could also be used as a weapon. And that's what the movie was about, is they wanted to go in and help heal people through their dreams. But then somebody was able to use that and use it as a weapon. They would go into these high authority government people and use their dreams to control them. And so it can be very real. So dream telepathy is when you can go jump into other people's dreams. And it's so crazy because I feel like I can do that. I feel like I don't necessarily do it on purpose, but I do know people have come to me and said, I had a dream about you, that you helped me do this or you helped me do that. And I fully believe that at night, I call them night workers, that you can go during your dreams and help other people and help teach other people. And I feel like a lot of times I'll do that. And that's, and that's dream telepathy. And I feel like that is a huge thing. Because I know sometimes I'll have a great night's sleep, but I'll wake up exhausted and tired. And I really believe and then the next day I'll have somebody call me and be like, I had a dream about you and you helped me do this and you helped me do that. And I think that's really, really cool. In fact, I had an experience like that recently. 2 people had called me I had a really bad dream. I can't even remember the details, but it was so crazy to me. And I had a bad dream that someone was trying to stop me. There was this river of people, at these souls, kind of like in the Hercules movie. And the Hercules show from Disney, and the souls, like, the unfortunate souls on the mermaid thing, and they were stuck and in this green vortex thing. And I had a dream that me and some other people would put our hands in there and we'd sing a song like I Am a Child of God, or Jesus songs, like any songs that were good, and these people would heal. And I'm not saying by any means that I heal people or anything like that. This is it's a symbolic of the dream. I'm sure it's symbolic of how some of these readings that I do can help people heal. And I remember something grabbed my hand and told me that I needed to stop working with the souls. I needed to stop helping the souls. And I refused. And I said, you need to leave me alone. I fought it. And then the next day, 2 people called me. 2 people out of the blue. Then the very next day after I had that nightmare said, I had a dream about you last night and you helped me transition to the other side. You were telling me all these people that were on the other side. And then the other person DM'd me and said, I had a dream about you last night. You helped me. I was going through this and this and this, and you helped me with this. And I was like, I bet you those were the cauldron people. Those were the things. And anyways, it was just the craziest thing. And it wasn't coincidence. You know me, I don't believe in coincidence. And it just is such an honor to be able to help people, just to help those people. And so I strongly feel like that's a form of telepathy. It's a total form of dream telepathy. That to me, that was a dream telepathy thing. So totally exists, totally awesome. I just, I can't even like. I know I'm getting off the subject of telepathy, but it's just awesome. Um, so there is no scientific evidence for telepathy, but they are starting to find it. They are starting to find brain waves, brain telepathy things. And that one, you might want to listen to the telepathy tapes to get more information on that. She does go um, way into the science part. And also too, they have kind of found that autistic brains have a little form of this neuroscience and brain cognitive stuff that goes through. And that is also something, if you want to listen to do that, that's on the telepathy tapes. So um, I believe that it's just a frequency, right? It's all about frequency. It's all about that frequency. And we're on, those collective thoughts are on that frequency, and we all have access to them. And I kind of feel like that if you believe in it, you can do it. Um, so if you want to practice your telepathy, these are what I suggest. If you want to start tapping into your clairs, tapping into your God-given psychic gifts that are not evil, that can do good, then these are the things that I suggest you do. You learn about them. You learn all about the clairs. You learn about telepathy. You research it. But don't get so big into researching all of it that you don't actually do the work. Okay? Don't be like reading and reading and reading and reading and you don't actually do the work. Make sure you practice and do the work. Use the cards yourselves. The Zen cards, you can buy them or you can make your own cards. You can do them yourself. Any type of like telepathy kind of like, see, to me, that's not telepathy though, because you're guessing what the card is. You're not communicating with somebody, but you kind of are. So it's kind of psychic. It's just a kind of fine line, right, between telepathy and psychicness. You need to trust yourself. This is a huge one. Because we've been brought up that we're not powerful, because we've been told that we don't matter, and because we've been taught that we don't have these spiritual gifts and that we need to tap into somebody else's spiritual gifts to know that we are awesome and great, and we have to rely on somebody else's spiritual experience to make ours more existence. We need to trust us. You need to trust yourself. You need to trust your messages. You need to trust what you're getting, because you do not need somebody else to get your messages for you. You do not, if you do not need anybody else's spiritual experience to have, you need to have your own spiritual experience. You don't need to rely on somebody else's. And a lot of religions, God bless them, I know they mean well, but they are significant on somebody else's spiritual experience. And you may have had some of your own, and that's great. But this, you need to trust your own spiritual intuition. You need to believe it. You can't do something you don't believe in. You can't have these gifts if you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe that you don't have them. Also meditation. I know some people don't like meditation, but I guarantee you, I did not like my meditation when I began, but it is the number one thing that got me here. That got me where I'm at. Meditation it teaches you. It teaches you to listen. It teaches you to listen to yourself. It teaches you to know what's yours and what's not yours. It teaches you self-control on getting rid of those thoughts. Now, you're not going to ever not have any thoughts, because that's how spirit talks to you, is they give you these thoughts, right? But it's a difference between what's your thoughts and what's coming from spirit or what's coming from somebody else. Having an open mind. If you go into this and just think, oh, this is crazy, this is stupid, it's not going to work for you. You have to have an open mind. It's kind of with belief. And you have to have patience. You have to have patience with yourself. Just like you're going to go to the gym one day doesn't mean that you're going to be skinny that day. It means it takes lots of patience, lots of work. And I have clairs, right? You have to know which clairs are your strongest. So review the clairs. I have a video. I think I have a podcast on the clairs, an older one. And also too, I do classes on the clairs sometimes. I think my next one is going to be about spirit guides though. And you need to learn how to block. You need to learn how to have shields or protection so no one can manipulate you. So always, I don't care how you manage it. Some people, you can use a spray around you. You can use glass around you. You can imagine yourself being in a forest with. You just have to have some sort of shields around you so people can't get in. That's why a lot of people will use that. I think it's symbolic, that tinfoil around their head, because it's symbolic as a shield, right? Like no one can get in, because I think that's how they feel like they need to to be shielded, but you can create your own shields. You can create your own, envision your own kind of, foil around your head, or any kind of shield around your head, or shields up. You can just even, what I like to do is I like to do a meditation where I envision shields up, and then all I have to do is say shields up, and spirit knows, or my body just knows that that's what you do. So that's kind of my take on telepathy. I believe in it. I believe that we're just on the tips of it. I believe that it's very real because it's happened in my readings. There's been so many times when, and I've heard so many times when people have been like, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I was just thinking," and I'll be like, "That's because that's what you read." So, and it's not just for just certain people. It's for everyone. It's you just have to believe in your self-worth and believe that you're authentic and you're good enough for these gifts. So I really hope that helps you guys. I hope that you kind of check out the telepathy tapes. I've heard it's an awesome podcast. I've listened to a few of them, and I'm more of the spiritual type. I like the scientific stuff and I like the proof, but to me, I see the proof in the science. I see the proof in the in the spirit part of it, because every day I do 3 readings every day, 3 or more readings every day, and I just see it. I see it at work, right? I see me using telepathy with the souls on the other side, and during psychic readings and Akashic record readings and all of that. So to me, it's a no-brainer. But when people are like, talk about it, talk about telepathy, it's kind of hard for me, because it's hard for me to decipher psychic and telepathy, because to me they're the same. But telepathy is when there's communication going both ways, not just one person reading one person's brain. And it takes effort and it takes work, but I totally believe in it. I totally believe it's an ancient gift. I believe that we had it years and years and years ago. We knew we tapped into this stuff, and I believe that that's why these scientific movies are coming out, and I believe that that's why these books are coming out with all of this stuff, because deep down we know that we had these gifts. We know that these gifts are possible, and they may seem like fantasy or science fiction, but we know the reason why we resonate with them so well is because we know that they're real. And they might not be as like, as some of the books portray them, but movies portray them differently, just like Hollywood. If you watch The Sixth Sense, they portray connecting to past loved ones in a scary way, a Hollywood way. And in reality, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. They put a Hollywood twist on it. So I feel like these books and these movies can sometimes twist that. But at the end of the day, deep in our souls, we know that it exists, and we know that it's real, and we know that we are powerful and we are gifted. And we're just yearning to find that again, and to find our authentic, true selves again. So I love you guys so much. And you, as I always say, you already have everything you need inside of you. You just have to find it. You just have to dig down deep and find it. So I love you guys so, so much. And I do have some events coming up. In April, I'm going to have another event if you're local. I promise you, January and February were kind of hard. I am going to maybe do an online event where you can get online, and I will do readings online. And I just don't know what that looks like yet or how that's going to play out, but I promise you I'm going to do it and do live calls. January and February just rocked my world. So I love you guys so much, and thank you so much for being patient with me, and thank you for following me. I love my spunksters more than anything. I know I wouldn't be here without you. I know I couldn't do this without you. I know I am indebted to you, and I am so grateful for you, and I love you. And I will talk to you guys next week.